that we don't really have any have not scenes this week because we both watched Transformers 1.
For thousands of years, we have been at war. But before, we were enemies. We were like brothers.
You ready?
Always ready. Let's punch in. Hey, watch where you're going.
What did you say?
It's not like he can transform.
Hey, Darkwing.
Don't.
My finger can transform. Guess which one?
Allow me.
And this podcast is already going to be 3 hours long, and I don't know how long how much we have to say about Transformers 1 beyond the fact that
I liked it.
Let's I guess we'll do the non-spoilers first, and then we'll jump into the heavy duty spoilers. Jordan, what are your non-spoiler, in a sentence or less, thoughts? What's the log line here?
The log line is it's fun, it's faithful, and if you like Transformers, I think you'll like it.
That same, yeah. People kept saying it's the best Transformers movie ever, and I hate it when people say that because it primes me to not like a thing. But it might be. It might be the best Transformers movie. It asks questions, or it answers questions that you never asked, but you're like, huh, interesting. It presents ideas of Transformers that it's never been asked before, and it answers them in ways that are interesting. It goes into the relationship between Optimus and Megatron in a way that's believable. I enjoyed that. One of the things I enjoyed was how their answer to Bumblebee not talking the last time is to make him never shut up. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
It's a very
That's
funny
ironic.
movie. Yeah. Do we want to jump? I guess. Do we want to jump into specifics? That's it. Go watch it. Go watch it because it's really good.
Go watch it.
It's really good. It deserves to make the money. I would definitely watch 5 more of these.
It's a nice.
At least watch one more.
Tight film too. It's not too long.
Yeah,
but
it's a nice
it really
hour
does,
and 40 minutes.
It shows you the backstory kind of the schism that divides Optimus and Megatron.
Yeah.
Who in this are Orion Pax and what is he, M10 or something?
D28, D12 or something like that. D something. They keep calling him D.
D16.
D16. So okay, that's it. This is your spoiler warning because it turns out there's quite a bit to spoil in this movie. There's quite a bit to give away. I mean, beyond the fact that you know where it's going, they're going to turn to Megatron and Optimus.
Which they do.
They do turn to Megatron and Optimus. The Decepticons are formed. This movie made me appreciate the Bay movies a little bit in the sense that, like, yeah, I always thought that, like, the idea of, like, multiple primes, like, essentially being the forefathers of the Transformers, I thought Michael Bay made that shit up. Like, I didn't think... So remember how I was like... So, okay, the big thing with this is the name Megatron comes from one of the primes. He's called Megatronus Prime. And in the theater, I say to Jordan, "Is that a new thing? Did that come? Is that a thing? I've never heard of this before." And that's where the Decepticon symbol. They explain that's where the Decepticon symbol comes from. He does, Jordan. You might recognize him by another name. You might recognize him as the Fallen.
That's interesting,
right? Doesn't it? So when I read that, I went, "Oh." Things click together, things start to make sense. I was like, huh, that explains a lot. So yeah, he shows up a bunch. There's a bunch of different versions of him, but he almost always is evil. Almost always is evil.
Interesting.
Yeah, he is almost exclusively evil.
Very interesting. So then that makes the question of in this movie is because after he takes after spoiler warning, after he kills Alpha Prime and takes Megatronus's transformer part and puts it in him, it's after he does that his eyes go red. Do you think that's what makes him ultimately go evil there?
I think his eyes were always his eyes were already starting to turn red because
his eyes did not fully turn red until that moment.
No, they turn red when he drops them. He's like, I don't need you anymore. Then so they keep going red and
so
not
what
red.
what I'm saying is, do you think that part is what ultimately pushes him over the edge?
No, because he doesn't put it in until he doesn't put in Cybertron or Megatronus's part until he kills him, and he's already starting to go bad by that point. So I think well, pushes him over the maybe when you put it like that, maybe, because he's on the edge for most of the movie. Well, for
a good chunk, he's on
for the
edge.
back half of the movie, he's on edge. So I guess maybe you could argue that maybe pushes him. Certainly, that pushes him into becoming Megatron. Like he's not. I don't think he's Megatron until which I mean we're just gonna jump around here. Just to jump ahead. The sequence of him turning into their respective guys might be one of the greatest scenes in Transformers ever. Like just hands down. Like just him ripping Alpha Prime or whatever in half.
Alpha Prime.
Yeah, just him tearing him in
savage.
half. Optimus getting turned into Optimus. You like very much so. This movie does a really good job of explaining or introducing certain dynamics that I've never understood in Transformers. So like the idea of like especially as I went on, why does everyone just kind of blindly follow Optimus into the dark? Like what is he doing beyond the fact that he has a MacGuffin that nobody else has? Like what is he doing that? And so this movie really demonstrates like his growth to being that inspiring figure that everyone wants to. And it's the same thing with Megatron. Of like my big thing was like why if Starscream always wants to portray Megatron on a dime, why does he work for him? And this movie explains that because he came in there and he was this bigger, stronger, faster guy.
He kicked his ass basically.
Yeah, he was in charge, and then Megatron came in and took over. Like, and I thought that I enjoyed how the name, the explanation of the name of the Decepticons, like the origin
At least
of that
in this version anyway.
Yeah, the idea that I mean it kind of seems like based upon the show that we watched that always is kind of where that name comes from, of like he's tired of being deceived of the hierarchy of. I enjoyed how this movie explored the hierarchy of how Transformers work socially, because I've never fully understood that. I like the idea of transformation as a social contract. Like I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, again, at least in this version, it's
a form of status. Like only high status people get to transform, and low status people don't get to transform. And it's like it's an inherent part. Like I've never questioned how Transformers transform until this movie, and its answer for that was interesting. I thought it was interesting.
It's a part.
Yeah, it's a part that what makes them transform. Yeah. I thought that
which also is a metaphor for a part inside of them, which for a lot of the construction, like the miners and stuff, is a part that Optimus always felt was missing inside of him. It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. I like the usage.
It's simultaneously a metaphor and in this movie literal.
Yeah. It's very well animated. The trailer does it a disservice for sure. I will say the trailer does it it's one of those ones where I definitely need to watch it a second time to really like. There's a lot of really fun.
I'd like to watch it at home, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. I really enjoyed the backstory, the lore. Alpha, Sentinel Prime. It's funny because there's a lot of names where it's like, hey, I know these names. Like, obviously, I knew that Sentinel Prime, he is traditionally the leader that precedes Optimus. Usually, he's a good guy.
He's usually Optimus's mentor.
Yeah, and he's the one who gives Optimus the Matrix of Leadership. So in Transformers in Disguise, in that show, Ultra Magnus basically becomes a Vegeta. Well, he's more like Sasuke.
Krillin?
Vegeta's kind of he's Shadow the Hedgehog anti-hero type character where he shows up and I haven't gotten to the point where he's nice to Optimus yet, But Green Ranger, it's Saban, so he's effectively your Green Ranger, or your Kenichi Joji, where he shows up and he's initially a bad guy. He's initially a dick, and
At first he's a dick, and then he becomes good.
Yeah, and he's Optimus's brother in this show, and he was second to be chosen for the Matrix of Leadership, and Optimus gets it instead. So it was given to him by Alpha Trion, who is the one who gives them their transforming powers in this movie. So it's like I recognize these names, yeah. Where I was like, oh, I know these names from other things, and my one real gripe is I don't love what they did with the Quintessons in this movie. I didn't enjoy that, mostly because I know I'm familiar. But if you're not familiar with the Quintessons, it's not going to bother you. Beyond the fact that their name is Quint 5.
But I also feel like we didn't actually, and we you and I discussed this, but I also feel like we didn't really see them. We saw their underlings.
True, maybe we haven't actually seen them yet. Yeah.
Which, cause we saw what is essentially in terms of the 1985 movie, we saw what is essentially the equivalent of the guy who stood beside the guy in charge.
Yeah.
Which leaves the possibility that in the sequel we will see the 5-sided mask version.
God, I hope
the
so.
actual Quintessons.
I do hope so, because yeah, to me that's way more fun. What else? What else did we do? What else? I'm trying to think. Was there anything else that we?
I mean, you said that you wanted a sequel where we see the beginning of the war.
Oh yeah, so I did save a news story from my news, which they said that if this does well, they're obviously going to do sequels. They fully intend to do sequels, and apparently they have a whole trilogy planned. So my question is, we talked about just one sequel.
I want them. I just want them to name it Transformers 2 and Transformers 3, and not have any underscoring name, none of that. Just have it Transformers 1, Transformers 2, Transformers 3.
Well, I like
because I think that'd be funny.
I mean, I know I said beginning of the war, but also if you want to be like, oh, this is year 1, and then the next one's year 2, and then the next one's year 3, that'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, here's 2 questions. What do you think the trilogy will be, and what do you want the trilogy to be? Trilogy, not just one movie, but now you have 2. What do you think they've already written based solely upon what we got here?
Okay, well, okay.
It's also going to Unicron would be my guess, but
well, yeah, that's kind of what I would expect, is them to lead up to Unicron. But here's what I'll say. What I expect is the second one will begin, and it's been like a year or 2. Optimus has been entrenched in a fight against the Quintessons. Megatron has been slowly biding his time, working up and building an army. And it's like the end days of the war, where Optimus is like about to beat the Quintessons, and he's lost a bunch and he's weakened. Megatron basically swoops up and finishes off the Quintessons, and it looks like he's working with Optimus, but then he turns against him, and that's the second half of the movie. That's the start of the war. And then good chunk of the movie will have fighting. The second half of the movie will have fighting Decepticons and Autobots and stuff. And I think it'll pull an Empire. And the end of the movie, Megatron will win, and the Autobots will kind of go into hiding. We'll end there, and it'll be like an all is lost moment, which leads into the third one, where Unicron shows up and is trying to destroy the planet, and Megatron has to basically ask Optimus for help, and they have to come together as brothers yet again to fight against the evil force of Unicron. And I don't know how it would end. Maybe it would leave room open for another one, but that's kind of what I would expect it to go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. As for what I'd want, I mean, I guess that could lead us, unless you have any more.
Oh, what I would want is different than what I think would happen. That's what I think would happen.
Now, when I say this,
we'll do it this way. What do you think is going to happen, and then you go first for what you want to happen.
What I think is pretty much, yeah, exactly. I think the second one's going to be, they're going to fight the Quintessons. I don't think the second one is going to be a Decepticon versus Autobot thing, because I just don't think they're going to do that. They're going to do a thing where it's like reluctant allies, and then you're right. Pretty much what you said. And then I think the third one will be probably Unicron. As for what I want is pretty much that Netflix show, but like earlier in the war, where they're not sad and defeated. So I guess that springboards, unless you have anything else. Go watch Transformers 1. Yeah, go watch it. It's really good.
Transformers
it's
1.
much better than the trailers look if you like Transformers. It's not just a good Transformers movie. It's just a good movie. It's just a good time. Don't watch it in theaters. Wait till it comes. No, watch it in theaters. Maybe like a Sunday matinee where there are no kids to ruin it for you. And then just real quickly, I just really want to talk about as a companion piece to
it feels like a sequel to this.
Or this feels like a prequel to that. I mean, I would say that the Transformers one's a bit more lighthearted. There's a bit of cursing. There's a bit of violence. This is a bit more PG to PG-13 and sort of approach to things. Like I really liked how it had all of the G1 designs. That was really cool.
What's funny is so you know how I like to open up my Wikipedia articles for the different stuff, and what's funny is when you look up the Transformers War for Cybertron, first thing that comes up is the video game.
The video game,
which I thought was funny.
Is this based on the video? Is this an adaptation of the video game?
Well, it's technically so what Wikipedia describes it as is a toy line and transmedia series that is part of the Transformers franchise. And then it says that it takes inspiration or based on the Generation 1 and Beast Wars series.
Interesting. Because this doesn't really feel like it's a prequel to the original show. Like Megatron in this is a substantially different character than he is in that original show. I quite like him in this, and I only watched 2 episodes, which is why this isn't going to be very long. Maybe I
watched 3.
I hear that it gets bad in the second series, the one that introduced the Beast Wars, but thus far I quite like it. I like that it's a bit more. I like that. Yeah, it's sort of what I want out of a sequel. Maybe earlier in the war than this. Of like,
well, and see. So what's funny
it's more of a tactical thing. I really quite enjoyed that.
Part of the reason why I say that it feels like a continuation of the movie, which the only thing which makes it not is Bumblebee, but part of the reason why I say it is because the girl robot from the movie is very much a character in this.
Oh, she's a character from Transformers. She's in quite a few episodes.
No, I know, but I'm saying I've never really experienced her before. But the character she is in this, is pretty much just exactly the same character as she is in that.
She's
same with the portrayal of Megatron in both that Transformers 1 and this is they very much it feels similar.
This feels like the whole progression of that version of the character for sure. Yeah, where he's still as of the beginning of this episode, unless the point of the show is he becomes. Because I'm like when he in the second episode when Shockwave is like basically used with the Transformers equivalent to like a nuclear bomb and genocide the Autobots. He's like, no, I don't feel comfortable with it.
Reprogram them all, and then, in the third episode, he's kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe we need to do that.
When he captures
to end the war, so till all are one.
Yeah, he initially captures Bumblebee, and he's like, yeah, I know killing him does me no good. He's like, it's more benefit to change your mind and have you join my side than it is to kill you. Like, that doesn't help me in an ideological sense. And I'm like, that's interesting. And that's what I want. It's not going to be that, because the kids want Keegan-Michael Key making dumb jokes that go on for, I swear to God, if he said bad Assatron one more time, like, he said it too many times. It stopped. It's funny the first time. And then like the 5th time he says bad Assatron, it stops being funny.
A little bit, yeah.
My one thing is they missed a total like, in my opinion, like they ruined the joke, because to me the button on that joke is when Optimus first appears as Optimus, Bumblebee should have been like, now that's, I said it to you because it was an obvious joke, but they should have had Bumblebee like, now that's a bad Assatron. Like that would have worked.
Said that about any of any of them. Like if he had said that, like Megatron went and shot someone, and he was like, "Oh, that's a badassatron." Anything like that.
Yeah, but to me, it's better with Optimus because obviously Optimus is the good guy. But no, it's
good as a
good.
point of view.
It's a good show. I would like to finish it and then maybe I don't know do a follow up part 2, because I really do feel it's a good. Yeah, it is a good. It does explore the interworking political. Like I like the idea of Megatron as like he's a fascist kind of leader who's got secret police. Like basically he won, and it's yeah the idea that the Autobots are the rebels I think is interesting. It got some interesting ideas in it that I'm like, man, I heard the show is bad. It's not as bad as I heard it was. Some of the animation a bit cheap? Yeah, like some of the group shots look like they're assets and like it looks kind of bad, but
sure. But a lot of from what you're telling me, a lot of the Transformers shows didn't necessarily have the greatest animation, so it can get a pass.
So,
why, hi there, it's Justin at the end card again. Thank you for checking out our review of Transformers 1. What do you think? Have you seen Transformers 1? Do you agree? Is it the best Transformers movie of all time? Leave a comment below and let us know. Otherwise, you can click the link on the left-hand side, and that's going to take you to the full Transformers special we did. Or you can click the link on the right-hand side, and YouTube has determined a video that they think you're probably going to like. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video, everybody!